Hello and welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm John Bachman. Joining us now on the phone from Washington, D.C. is the senior U.S. Senator from Utah, Orin Hatch. He is also the ranking member, the ranking Republican on the Senate Finance Committee. Thanks for being with us, sir.
I'm glad to be with you. Appreciate the work you do.
Senator, we'd like to get your take on the election results from both New Jersey and Virginia. We talked about Virginia a little bit. New Jersey, though, went to Christie, a Republican winning in a blue state. Virginia, of course, went to Democrat Terry McAuliffe, who defeated Tea Party favorite Ken Cuccinelli. In New Jersey, Christie has shown that he can win over Democratic voters, but he's still at odds with the base of the party outside of the Northeast. Even so, do you think he's the man to beat now for the 2016 nomination, or is he going to get...
I remember that they said the same things about Ronald Reagan, and then everybody came to love Reagan once he got in there. I think people have learned to love Christie because he took over one of the most corrupt states in the Union and one of the most liberal states in the Union, totally dominated by Democrats, turned it around, balanced the budget, and got the state on its feet again. I mean, that's the kind of leadership we need in this country. And let me just say this to you. The guy is a straight shooter. He's a tough talker. He doesn't mince words. And yet he's got the right kind of balance of compassion and other things that really make him a great leader. I personally believe that Christie will make a great candidate for president. By the way, he had Susana Martinez of Montana, wonderful governor out there in Montana. He had
New
her
Mexico,
in there,
I believe, right? New Mexico?
Yeah, from New Mexico, campaigning with him in the last week. And I've got to say, those two together are dynamite. I mean, look, Christie has shown that he not only gets Republicans, but he gets a number of Democrats. He gets almost 50% of Hispanics, and he got 20% of African Americans in a state that literally has been Democrat for so long that people have written it off. And all I can say is that this is a guy that has a lot of pizzazz, and I think the Republican Party's really got to look at him very carefully, because I think he could beat anybody on the Democratic side, including Hillary.
Yeah, you compared him to Reagan. Is Christie the GOP's next Reagan?
Well, I think he could be every bit like Reagan. People didn't realize that Reagan was not only a charming guy, but a tough guy. He could make decisions. Christie is a tough guy who you can't help but like, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, Caucasian, Hispanic, or African American, or whatever. And yet he's a guy that is a take-charge guy who can get things done. I think he came out of that looking very, very good in that particular state. I have a lot of respect for him. He came in and visited with me a week ago, and I was really impressed. Of course, I've been impressed, and have tried to help him if I could.
Now, some people in the party have called Christie a moderate. Maybe he's a little too cozy with the president. But when you add that to what happened in Virginia, we have Ken Cuccinelli, who is a Tea Party conservative. He tried to make his election a referendum on Obamacare, and that obviously didn't work. What kind of message do both of those races send to the national party as they get ready for the 2014 midterms? Well,
let's take Cuccinelli first. Cuccinelli really didn't go into Obamacare enough until the last 2 weeks, and he made that a focal point. And the reason he couldn't do much with it was because of the shutdown on Capitol Hill, which definitely hurt him. The then sitting governor and his problems hurt him pretty badly as well. Had this lasted another week and a half, Cuccinelli would have been elected governor of Virginia, in my opinion. And, he actually did pretty well under the circumstances, because they were saying it was going to be a double-digit win for his opponent. In the case of Christie, look, anybody who's watched that guy, I've known him since he was a U.S. attorney. He was a tough U.S. attorney. He's just the kind of guy you want in law enforcement. He's the kind of guy, if he says he's going to do it, he does it. He's the kind of guy who has compassion and who understands how difficult it is for a lot of families today with the problems that we have, and especially with an all-consuming federal government. I think Christie came out of that very, very well, and I suspect that he's going to not only do a lot even better for New Jersey, but I think he will be certainly one of the major candidates for president.
So in other words, Senator, some of those folks who are saying that this might be a sign that the GOP needs to moderate more, maybe those folks are reading a little bit too much into the election results
Well, I
from
think
right now.
I think that I wouldn't call Christie a moderate. I call Christie a conservative. He's rock ribbed. But the problem is that he understands that he has to deal with another party too, and he understands the principle of trying to bring people together and build coalitions, and that's critical for us to win the next time. I mean, let's look at it. Hillary Clinton looks like she's going to be the nominee for the Democrats. She's formidable. On the other hand, people are getting a little tired of the Clintons, and now they're even talking about their daughter running someday. It reaches a point where I think people are going to get Clinton fatigue. I like Hillary personally. I wouldn't want her as president, but the fact of the matter is that she's up and running, 3 years in advance, and that gets pretty old after a while. In the case of Christie, I have no doubt that Christie would give her one heck of a race, and I actually believe he would win in the end, because I think when the American people get a chance to see Christie, a take charge guy who gets it done, who talks tough and means what he says, and who talks turkey with people, I think they're going to like the guy. I love the guy. I think he's terrific.
Well, I guess it's fair to say that the 2016 picture may have become a little more clear after that win last night, showing he can get things done in a state like New Jersey. Senator Orin Hatch of Utah, it's a pleasure talking with you, sir, and we always love having you here on Newsmax.
If I could just add one other thing before you sign off.
Of course.
There are other people in the Republican Party who may run too, who certainly you've got to give some consideration to, and a lot of people would like to see Jeb Bush run. Again, people are worried about Bush fatigue, just like they're worried about Clinton fatigue on the Democrat side. Marco Rubio's a charming, attractive, articulate guy. Also, Rand Paul. Rand Paul tells it the way he believes. He's totally honest. He's a charming, really, really wonderful conservative and really libertarian, if you look at it. And a lot of us Republicans have a lot of libertarian within us, and he's a charming guy. I don't want to leave anybody out, but just to give you a few illustrations, the Republican Party has a lot of really good people. But I have to say that if you want a tough guy who can appeal to everybody, Christie certainly looks very good after this win.
Well, there's a lot of folks looking to the state houses for these guys who have a record of getting things done, Christie being one of them. Kasich in Ohio is another example of a guy who's been able to get things done. So there are options out there, but we're all watching Chris Christie. Senator Orin Hatch, thanks so much for being with us.
Look at Walker there in the Midwest, northern middle. Man, he's terrific. Look, he took on the unions and beat them in a state that has always been pretty doggone liberal. He's a top-notch guy. And, Kasich himself is a great leader there. And Ohio, I hate to leave anybody out, but...
Well, we won't try to include everybody. We've got plenty of time before the primaries get started. Senator, I'm sure we'll have you back before then. It was a pleasure talking with you, sir.
Pleasure talking with you. Take care.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.